This one is a little bit luckier, I guess.
Okay.
This one's coming from the subreddit Let's Not Meet. It was posted 2 months ago. This one, I guess, trigger warning for not safe for work. It's tagged 18 plus. I dodged being murdered by my psychotic roommate just by a hair, and it even has real news articles. This person got away just a little bit luckier. They got away.
Well, really lucky if she's alive.
Yeah.
Or he's alive.
She. I think it's she. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a 36-year-old female in Sweden.
Sweden? Aren't they supposed to be really nice there? And not crazy at all?
They're all nice except for the ones that try and murder you. I have worked in mental health care for the last 18 years, mainly with people with psychotic illnesses like schizophrenia. I was working at a group home for 9 years and was very close with my coworkers there, especially 2 females. The last few years I worked there, another female started working there. Let's call her M. The 4 of us grew very close. M was timid, shy, friendly, and we all got along well. She was, however, often on long-term sick leave because of her own mental health issues, so we didn't meet much at work. But she always showed up at our after-work dinners, so we continued to stay in touch even when she wasn't well enough to work full-time. She told us that she had a history of schizophrenia herself, just like the patients we were treating, but that she was medicated and hadn't had any psychotic episodes for years. Since I have an education in psychiatry and a long experience with schizophrenia, I have no judgment towards people suffering from the illness, and it didn't bother me being friends with someone who had a diagnosis like that. And even after what I'm about to tell you, I still feel the same way. So, in the summer of 2023, I had moved on to work at a new place, also within the mental health field, but this time in forensic psychiatry, like a halfway house for mentally ill murderers, and etc. The 4 of us stayed in touch and still met every now and then for dinner parties. M told us that she had been evicted from her apartment because of an incident where she had accidentally entered her neighbor's apartment in the middle of the night. She told us that in a huge apartment complex, the doors all looked exactly the same, and that she simply walked into the wrong door by accident, and that the neighbors had created a big scene of pure drama and reported her to the police for no reason. I somehow felt that while that sounded out of proportion to evict someone just like that, perhaps the landlord took that kind of action because he judged her based on her medical history, and I felt bad for her. I questioned her if something else had happened, and she claimed that it didn't and that was the full story. In Sweden, it's very difficult to get a contract for an apartment when you have gotten evicted. You pretty much get blacklisted. So M asked me if she could move in with me. Since she was literally on the street, literally homeless, I said, of course you can. I always got myself into uncomfortable situations by saying yes instead of thinking about myself, and I had no idea how severe the situation would get when I said yes to M. I live in a pretty small apartment. It's a 1-bedroom that pretty much only fits a bed and a desk, a living room that fits a couch and a TV, no room for an extra bed. It has a small kitchen and a small bathroom. I also have 2 cats. We decided that M was going to live in the living room, and I offered her to throw my couch out so she could have a bed there. But she said that it was fine sleeping on the couch since it's comfortable enough. I insisted on giving her a bed, but she declined. There's a door between the living room and the bedroom, but between the living room and the hallway, there's just an open arch, so she wouldn't have total privacy. I hung up a thick velvet curtain covering the arch to at least give her a sense of a door and more privacy than nothing. There's another door from my bedroom to the kitchen. So I have 2 doors to my bedroom. I have to have one of them open at night since my cats want to go in and out. And they also have their litter boxes in the bathroom and food and water in the kitchen. I naturally kept the kitchen door open and not the living room door, since that's where M lived and we wanted to keep our privacy somehow. She wasn't working at this time because she was on one of her long-term sick leaves, while I was working shifts, so sometimes I had to get up at 6 a.m., and sometimes I didn't get home until 11 p.m. I had really severe insomnia and needed to combine a few drugs in order to fall asleep, but I still woke up early. I told her that I would appreciate it if she could try to stay quiet those nights that I have to get up at 6 a.m., but that's fine if she's loud when I'm off work or when I do evening shifts. She was a heavy smoker and coffee drinker, so I bought her a coffee machine. Yeah, I know. I'm a weirdo who doesn't drink coffee very often, so I never had one. The coffee machine and the sink is placed right outside my bedroom door, and the kitchen is very small. So the first night together, I had to get up at 6 a.m. for my shift. As usual, I had a hard time falling asleep. Emma had been up several times that night to go out to smoke, and I woke up every single time. At 5 a.m., she started making coffee, and since it's literally outside my bedroom door, I got wide awake from the sound of that. I asked her in the nicest way possible why she was up so early, asking if she had any plans today. I mean, she's on sick leave. Why not sleep at 5 a.m. if you can? And she just said that she couldn't sleep. I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I would just appreciate it if you could wait till making the coffee until 6 a.m., as I really need that last hour of sleep because of my work." Adding to why I need my sleep is the fact that I have epilepsy, and that gets really bad when I don't have enough sleep. I usually get a lot of seizures when I don't get at least 4 hours of sleep. I knew that I would probably get seizures at work now, meaning that this day would be both stressful and potentially dangerous for me since there's a huge risk that I fall and hurt myself. And it's not a good thing to get cramps and seizures among mental unstable criminal clients who you are supposed to care for.
Mm-hmm.
I know that this is not an ideal situation to work in that field of my condition, and I can inform you that I have quit after only 6 months. So she said that she really wanted coffee with her cigarettes, but that she would try to wait until the next time I have to work. I accepted it and went on with my day, but things never got better. She continued to wake me up early in the morning and throughout the night, and continued to promise to stop, but insisted that she really wanted coffee with her cigarettes. I suggested making the coffee the night before, or drinking iced coffee or Coke instead, but she didn't want that. I may add that she demanded for me to be silent at 10 p.m., because that's when she wanted to sleep, and I respected that. She used to get these moments of binge eating where she would empty my fridge and pantry from everything I had. I remember this one time where I had bought a big loaf of bread, and she texted me 30 minutes later after I left the apartment saying, "Hey, I'm sorry I ate your loaf of bread. I will buy it back once I get money." Like, the entire loaf of bread was gone in 30 minutes. I had told her when she moved in to feel at home, and what's mine is yours, so I couldn't really get mad, but it did start to annoy me for two reasons. It was kind of expensive since it was such large amounts, and it was always inconvenient times of the day, like after an evening shift when the store was closed. I came home hungry, and she had emptied the kitchen from everything I'd bought that day. Em had long black hair that went everywhere, all over the sink, the floor, the bathtub. Listen, I'm no clean freak, but I think everyone could understand that this isn't the nicest thing to step in or to see it everywhere in your house. She also left her fingernails and toenail clippings on the bathroom floor. It was also pee drops on the toilet seat every time she had been on the toilet. I saw a silver fish on my bathroom floor.
What?
Never seen one before. And they eat hair and skin and nails. So I figure the little fella probably enjoyed life because of the new dirty conditions my bathroom was in. What the hell is a silverfish?
Oh wait, okay, so it's not a fish. It's a bug. It's an insect.
What the? Oh my god! I just looked up the photo of it.
I've looked it up before.
I'll throw the photo up for YouTube. I think I'm gonna puke. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, back to the story. At first, I didn't want to say it straight out because I thought it would hurt her and I didn't want to make her uncomfortable. So I just put a broom and the shovel in the bathroom to imply that we need to sweep the floor more often. This never worked. So after a while, I told her in the nicest way possible with a smile on my face, "Hey, do you think we could try and clean the floor in the bathroom more often? We tend to lose some hair when we brush it and I'm afraid we may get pests. I saw a silverfish the other day and I don't want it to get worse." I always made sure to say, quote, "we" instead of "you" so that she wouldn't feel attacked. She promised to think about it, but nothing changed. I started dating a guy and I was head over heels for him. He was also in a roommate situation, so we had a tough time getting any alone time. I asked Em if there's any chance that we could get one night to ourselves every now and then in the apartment, and that she, of course, would get the apartment to herself as well. She didn't like the idea and claimed that she had nowhere to go, no friends or family. Now, I wasn't asking her to leave for 24 hours, just a few hours so we could get some quality time together. She could just go to the library or take a walk or do something. I was at work 8 to 10 hours, 5 days a week, so she got a lot of alone time by herself. One of our old coworkers realized that this was rarely tearing at my mood, to never get any time for myself, and I started to feel really suffocated. She offered that M could stay at her place for the night, that, after all, they were friends too. M said she didn't want to be a bother for her, but we told her that she didn't. They're friends. She's more than welcome, and I really just want one night to myself with my new boyfriend. I didn't understand why she made such a big deal over leaving me in the apartment for just one night. She eventually accepted and spent the night there, and I spent the night away the next week so she could get some alone time too. When I came home the next morning from my night away, I saw that my cat's water bowl was completely dried out. There was no spill on the floor, and it looked like it had been wiped out with a paper or towel.
What?
I had filled it to the brim just the night before. I asked her how this was possible, and she said the cats must have tipped it out, but that there was nothing on the floor like I said. My cats are overly social and usually cuddle up to strangers after just a few minutes. I noticed that the cats withdrew from her more and more over time. And the last couple of weeks, they never left my bedroom except for when they ate or used the litter box.
No.
It seemed like they were scared of her, which I couldn't figure out since she was so timid. I had this old saucepan from the 60s that meant a lot to me. You probably wonder how a saucepan can mean a lot to someone, but it was my grandmother's, and the only thing that I have that belonged to her. My mother used to cook for me when I was little, so it has great nostalgic value to me. Well, one day she burnt it and made no attempt to clean it. She just left it on the stove and went out for a smoke. I found it ruined, and honestly, I broke down and cried. She didn't even say I'm sorry. She also broke dishes several times and never bothered to replace them or ever apologize. All of this was just adding to my frustration with her. It had been probably now 2 months since she moved in, and she kept waking me up at night, kept binge eating my food, never cleaned, never left the house, scared my cats, and was ruining my things. I soon realized that she was stealing my prescription sleeping pills, lots of them, and I only get one per night, no more, no less, and as you already know, I really need them. I had 20 of them in my nightstand when I left from work, and when I came home, they were gone. But she denied it, which is pretty hilarious since no one else lives with us. My frustration was getting heavy. The summer heat was strong, and I felt locked up in my tiny bedroom with my 2 cats, never getting any time for myself, never any alone time with the guy I've been dating except for every 14th day. My apartment was disgusting, and she was stealing from me. Then, out of nowhere, my old elementary school classmate texted me on Facebook asking me how I know M. He had seen that I'd posted on Facebook that we were roommates now. I told him that we were old coworkers and that she needed a place to stay since she got evicted. He said, I know, but do you know the full story of why she was evicted? And I replied, yeah, she accidentally went into her neighbor's apartment. And then he said, that's not the full story. Turns out she broke in and snuck up to their sleeping baby with a knife in her hand. But luckily the father woke up and wrestled her down and managed to save their baby.
What?
I felt sick to my stomach. How could all this be true? It would certainly explain why she was evicted, but it just sounded so horrible, and she is such a timid, nice person. I just had so many questions. But my friend had the full police report. Apparently, the couple that M had broken into was his ex-girlfriend and her family. It seemed that M had a psychosis during the break-in, but those parts weren't public. It was, however, clear to me that she had been lying to me about what had happened and about how long she had been mentally unstable. I started to get quite paranoid now, and I was already frustrated with everything and really wanted her to move out. We did, however, have a contract that she had 30 days notice. I knew that if I had asked her in a harsh way, it would mean 30 days of chaos until she moved out. So I wanted to handle this as nicely as I could. I started looking for cheap hostels for her that I could suggest for her to go to so that she wouldn't be on the streets. I sat down with her and told her that I love living with her, and I feel really horrible for this, but I just miss my alone time and that the apartment is too small for 2 people. I said it wasn't personal and that I wouldn't want to live with anyone right now, and I wish it would have worked out, but I'm really sorry and I hope we can still remain friends. M looked crushed and said that it wasn't possible. I showed her the hostel I found and said that I understand that it wasn't the ultimate situation, but I really needed to move out because I felt suffocated, and also the summer heat was making it really tough to always have the door to my bedroom closed, and that it was tough for me to get any sleep. So she said okay, she was going to try and move out, but not until 30 days had passed. And I said, of course. The first night after our talk, she got up and made her coffee at 2:30 a.m. and I nearly had a mental breakdown. I was going to get up at 6 and I couldn't go back to sleep. I asked her in the morning for probably the 10th time to not make coffee until I got up, but she didn't even answer me. She just sat on the sofa and stared out the window. And I said, "Em," and she just kept staring. I was freaked out, but I left for work.
Don't leave the cats with her. Come on.
I know.
I'm
it's
so
all I
worried
think
about these cats.
She kept being weird, kept making a mess, kept waking me up, kept eating my food. All I could do was think about the incident with her and the baby with a knife. I eventually got so pissed off about being woke up by the coffee maker, so I unplugged it and stored it in my attic, to which she had no access to.
Oh.
It may be childish, but I was just getting so tired at this moment. My sleeping pills were stolen, and I was starting to feel like Edward Norton in the beginning of Fight Club. Well, the next night, I woke up at 4 a.m. by her making coffee in a saucepan.
Puh.
I tried talking to her again, explaining the situation, but she just stared into the abyss and never replied.
Oh my God.
Me being frustrated and on the tipping point, took the saucepan and stored it in the attic as well. I know, but I was going crazy and I just wanted to stop with these nightly coffee routines and to get the hint. On the third night, I had the guy I was dating sleep at my place because I was getting really paranoid about her weird behavior. She was not talking to me and just staring into space when I tried to talk to her. I woke up from a very light snooze by him poking me and he whispered, "Look." In the doorway, M was standing silently, staring at us.
Stop, I'm scared.
This was like a scene from a horror movie with her long black hair over her face. I kid you not. I didn't say anything at first because I wanted to know if she just stood there for a second doing something by the door. But I realized after a while she was actually just standing still staring at us.
Oh my God.
It reminded me of the ending of Paranormal Activity when Katie just stared at Michael in the final scene. So I sat up and said, "What are you doing?" But before I could finish the sentence, she just slammed the door shut and I heard the sound of something metal falling on the floor and her running into the living room. I yelled out, "You need to leave," and started crying hysterically because this was just turning into a fucking nightmare. Of course I didn't go back to sleep. I was really happy that I had company that night. I just kept asking myself, has she done this before? Has she stared at me while I've been sleeping? Was this the first time? Or has she done it several times before? The next day when I got out of bed, I opened the door that she had slammed shut and saw a kitchen knife on the floor. So that was the metal sound I heard before she ran off. Then I took all my knives and I locked them in the attic as well. I then asked my friend of mine to come stay at my house and be here when I tell her that she needs to move out immediately because I am not waiting 30 days. I cannot handle 27 more days of this. During the conversation, I really tried to stay calm. I know she has a mental illness. I know she means no harm. Even though I was so frustrated, I couldn't hate her. I was mostly scared and tired. She, however, didn't answer even when we both talked to her. She just kept staring out the window. She did end up leaving the apartment and sent me a text instead saying that I was being disrespectful by bringing a friend over to her place. Nighttime came and I thought this would be a quiet night finally. No coffee maker or saucepans in the middle of the night. But at 3 a.m. I woke up to her burning dry coffee powder in the frying pan. At this moment, I was just terrified of her. Her face was dead. Her eyes were black. I suspected that she has gone into psychosis. I stopped the fire and she just ran off into the living room in silence. I knew she had an appointment with her psychiatrist the next day, and while she was away, I packed all of her things. I then sent her a text telling her that she needs to pick them up and give me my keys back, and I will give her money for a hostel for the upcoming 26 days. M never replied. The guy I was seeing came to keep me company in case she would fight about it. She didn't. She left the keys without looking at us and left. Our coworkers who are friends with both of us told me that she has moved in with the guy she was dating, and she stayed there for a few weeks until she somehow amazingly got an apartment of her own. She started working again, and I was really happy to hear this. She seemed to be doing well. Then, in January of this year, one of our old coworkers told us that Emma called her and told her that everything must burn, that she has a baby that she must save, and other delusional stuff. She has called 112, which is the Swedish emergency number, about this, but they haven't taken it seriously. Em has proceeded to burn her entire apartment down because the voices in her head was telling her that she has to burn everything to save her friends and family. Her neighbors had tried to rescue her in the fire, but she had fought them off and ran back in and poured liquor on the fire to make it burn more. She was arrested and sentenced last week for aggravated arson. Here's the link. She will serve her time in a mental institution / prison for a long time, possibly forever. What's ironic is that she will probably be in the facility where I used to work and end up where she used to work herself. My old coworker was a witness at the trial, and apparently she had stopped taking her medication because she thought it made her feel numb, and she thought she was stable enough to function without it. Apparently not. She had also stopped taking her medication the last few weeks she stayed at my house. So when she started staring blankly into space, she was going into psychosis. When she stared at me with a knife in her hand, psychosis. When she burnt that frying pan the last night, psychosis. It's disturbing to think about what could have happened to me and my cats if she would have stayed, or if I would have been a heavier sleeper. I also think about what would have happened to that baby that she had snuck into before she was evicted. And yeah, I know it's crazy that I didn't just throw her out by then, but it's complicated. The reason why I haven't been able to talk about this with my friends is because they sympathize with her and have minimized my experience, and they think I made a bigger deal out of it than I believed it to be.
Come on.
I sort of understand since they have never seen that darkness in her eyes like I did those last couple of days.
That's it? Dude.
There is an update.
Oh my God. Can I just say I've never been like pulled into a story as I have this one. Like I felt like I was reading a book, like a thriller book.
Yeah.
That scene with her hair over her face, I could picture it and I was genuinely terrified. Like I got chills all over and I wanted to take off my earphones because I didn't want to hear it. Like I was scared.
I will say, like, I took a very small liberty of changing a little bit. Not like I didn't change the story or anything, but some of the typing for her sentences were like a little hard to read.
Okay.
So I kind of smoothed them out a little bit.
Okay.
Everything's the same, just 1%. Some of the words are
like it wasn't written well.
It was really tough to read.
Oh,
So some
okay.
of the things I kind of smoothed out. So if you guys are like reading the Reddit post for this exact post, it 1% difference. I had to smooth out a little bit, or else it just wouldn't have really made sense.
Made sense, yeah.
Yeah. I do that a lot when I'm reading stories. Though.
Yeah, I was
have
gonna say that's
because,
normal.
Yeah, all these stories are just, they're not typed the best. They're
Yeah.
not, when you type it, it's okay, but when you're reading it out loud, it's like that
doesn't make sense.
It's not a smooth sentence.
Oh my God, but that was insane. I have a question though. How is she allowed to work in the psych ward
How is
schizophrenia when she has schizophrenia herself? I'm a little
Apparently
confused about that.
She was medicated, but I don't think even if you're on your medication, should you be allowed?
I don't know.
What if you stop taking your medication? Hence, what happened?
That was crazy. All I could think about was those cats. I'm so glad she didn't harm those cats.
Literally. Messed
And
up.
OP, but like the cats.
Okay, so update.
That's crazy, yeah.
The original post was 2 months ago, and then it says the update's on May 16th. So I don't know what that means.
Wow,
I
so
think
this
that's
is
when she
fairly
typed
new.
it. Yeah, so I think this happened a while ago, but she's just writing her story here. Update. I just remember some other things that I wanted to add to the post. There were several times when I was going to work early in the morning that she occupied the bathroom by taking long baths. I patiently tried to wait till the last minute before knocking and asking her if she could get up and get back in after I gotten ready and left for work. Just another thing that was adding to my frustration. I felt really ill one time when she was staying there. I didn't know it at the time what it was, but I woke up early in the morning one day feeling very nauseated. On my way to the bathroom, I literally shit myself and threw up at the same time. It takes like 10 seconds to get to the bathroom, so you can imagine how bad it was when I didn't even make it. I had a really high fever and kept throwing up and shitting myself all morning, And anyone who has been through this would understand that you want the bathroom to yourself. Actually, I think it's pretty understandable that you'd want to be completely alone when you were this ill. My head was spinning and I was nearly hallucinating from the high fever.
I've experienced that with food poisoning.
Yeah.
Salmonella poisoning.
Literally.
Do not recommend.
Anyways, working in healthcare, I also have the natural instinct of not wanting to spread infections. So my first thought was that besides wanting to be alone, I didn't want to risk giving whatever this was to Em. So I begged her from the moment I noticed that I was ill to please leave me alone for her sake. I could barely speak because it made me throw up that easy. Our friend in common had asked her to water her plants that week, so she had the keys to her place and could have been alone there. Em refused to leave, and I swear if I had the energy to slip out of my window and fall to my death, I would have, but I couldn't.
Jeez.
I was half sitting / half laying on the toilet with a bucket in my lap, head sort of resting on the bucket because of the puke that I couldn't hold up with the high fever, and I just begged through the whispers for her to leave so that she wouldn't be ill too. I told her that, what if you get sick too? We can't share the toilet. I will be here all day. You should go to her place before it's too late, please. Eventually she left, pissed at me. Turns out I had severe case of food poisoning and I was well again after 2 days. But my God, the fact that she refused to leave is something that I felt I had to add to the story because it made me so frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
I also went through her conversations and saw me asking her how long the door had been closed. That reminded me that she used to shut my cats inside my bedroom while I was away at work or whatever, so they couldn't eat, drink, or use the litter box.
Oh.
She claimed that she just recently closed it because she was trying to sleep, but I remember she did in the middle of the day one time the last few days that she was there.
That's heartbreaking. I hate that. Just don't touch the animals. They don't know what's going on, okay?
Yeah, exactly. I got to get on the animals.
Yeah. Wow, that's really crazy. That is insane. I don't know. It just seemed like a fiction story to me. Like,
she's lucky she didn't light her apartment on fire.
Yeah, literally. I don't know how she lasted that long without actually harming her. And the cats.
I don't know.
Like, okay, if she was going to work all day and the girl was home with the cats, how did she not harm the cats?
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't stop talking about the cats, but...
Bro, I'd be scared of a random stranger coming to my house. It's like, it's not like you had an extra bedroom. Why did you invite this person into your house just because you felt bad? Even when you guys feel bad for people, like, doesn't mean that even if you have an extra bedroom, you need to bring them into the house. Certainly don't do it if they're going to sleep on your couch with no exit plan.
Yeah, but, I mean, she was trying to be nice, and I applaud her for that.
I do, but I don't.
I would never. Could it be me?
I don't recommend doing that.
Couldn't be me.
Think of yourself first.
Yeah, that's crazy. That was a wild story. That was a really good one, though.
Yeah,
good find.
Link is going to be down in the description below. OP responds to almost everybody, so I'm sure there's a lot more details in there, but that's just too much for me to read. So if you guys are really want to know more details or OP's thoughts, she comments a lot on that thread.
All right.
Yeah. Time to move on.
Yeah.
We need an uplifting one.
Fuck, okay.
Two deadly ones right to begin with. We need something to make me laugh. Before we move on to the next episode, I've actually had this idea that I've found a lot of like survivor stories. They're dark stories about like surviving incidences, and I guess like both of these kind of fall under that category. But I found some stories that are a little bit darker, a little bit more descriptive of like big events, and there were survivors from it. I would like to do an episode like that. I'm not sure if you guys are interested in something like that. Let us know in the comments if that's something that you guys are interested in. That one, like those stories they're very dark, and their reality of there's deaths involved in those. So that's why I've kind of been hesitating on doing that episode. So let us know in the comments down below if that's something that you guys would be interested in hearing in the future.
Perfect.